Welcome to our conference. We've been, after studying Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl's semester, we're moving into a mini semester about really how to take his teachings and really make it applicable and use it in our life. So I took the famous quote about somewhere between stimulus and response, there's a space, and in that space is this freedom, and in that freedom, or choice, and in that is our liberty, is our freedom. And so we're talking about, okay, so we all know that. What is stimulus? Life. So I've just simplified it. Stimulus is like happening all the time. It never stops, even when you're sleeping. I've been having some weird dreams lately. It never stops. Stimulus is always happening. And so what's response? That's what I would say, honestly, response is you. Response is every moment you're breathing, you're responding, whether you realize it or not. Your body's on autopilot, your brain is constantly in motion. And again, like I said, even when we're sleeping, we are responding to the life we have lived in our dreams and in our unconsciousness. So this idea of the space in between is for us to create this little moment in time where we can be more present and more conscious. And in that can be just more fully alive in our lives, in the time that we're walking in the rain, hanging out with our friends, driving in our cars, listening to music, whatever that is, we want to be fully, as much as possible, like fully alive for those moments. So I said the cool thing about you guys coming to practice today, and all of you out there doing your Ashtanga practice, is we train for space here in our Ashtanga yoga practice. And so the last 4 weeks have been how we do that, with our vinyasas, with attention, with articulation, like punctuation. And the last few weeks have been on drishti. So what's drishti? Gazing. So what we literally focus on gazing on is how we hold our attention. So I just thought this was fun to start conference this way, but I was flying back from Spain and happened to, was just standing waiting for the restroom when I saw the New York Times sitting there, and I saw this article with Yo-Yo Ma in front of graffiti. And the article drew me in. It said, Yo-Yo Ma wants Bach to help save the world. And I'm like, I must read this. And as I started to read it, you know, he's touring where Bach was born and going into community centers and sharing the cello pieces that he's so famous for, that Bach and then Yo-Yo Ma has recorded. And in this, it was so cool because literally Yo-Yo Ma was talking about creating the space in between. And I'm like, no way. Yo-Yo Ma is right on par with us. And in the article, he said a lot of cool things, but I wanted to share this with you. He said, the most important thing is to bring all of yourself into the moment. He said the next day, if for even 1 second you're like, oh, I have to go do this. People really are smart. They can see when someone is there or just not quite there. It goes on, but I love this example because sometimes, you know, people are like, why is it important that we're present? Well, have you ever had breakfast with someone and you've made this time to be with them and it's precious to you, and you realize the whole time you're with them, they're distracted looking who's walking in the coffee shop, or they're looking at their squirrel, right? Their phone, you know, like text, phone call, whatever, and they're constantly just trying to, and how does that make us feel? You know, you don't feel good when you realize someone's not giving you their full attention. And so anyway, I love that Yo-Yo Ma was talking about that as well as he's touring and sharing Bach to save the world. I absolutely love it. So part of the saving the world is that. So going a little bit further with this idea of drishtis, there's 3 parts to it. And the 3 parts are always this. Every time you come to Ashtanga Yoga, you're training for space through creating something physical in your body through form. We're doing physical asanas. And then energy, this is one of the few things we do that's an energetic practice, like Tai Chi. This is a pranic practice. And the third, of course, is what? Stimulus always begins here. So I'm constantly responding to life here first, always. It never stops. The last 1 minute of my life, I was responding to what's happening in this room, what I'm saying, how I see you looking back at me, all of that I'm responding. So first we use a drishti physically, and I'm going to look at my toes, or I'm going to look towards my shins so that I have this good form in my body that keeps me elongated and in length in my muscles and opening. So we know that that serves us when the physical body can see, using my drishti, where I need to go to get extension and length. And that applies in life too. So we know that if we have good form, that we're oftentimes looking forward, rather than one of the things, again, the squirrel is doing for us is ruining our form, because we're all like this all the time, right? We're like this all the time. Hopefully you're not driving like this, but still, right, there's this idea that our drishti can totally change our form. If you're Matt's about to catch a wave and he's looking behind him, he's looking behind him, he's looking behind him, then all of a sudden he's about to catch the wave, does he look at his feet? What would happen if he looked at his feet? Yeah, some problem, right? So we look up to catch the wave and ride that wave or whatever. So we understand that drishti helps us with the physical form of health. The second one is how we move prana through the body. So in the yoga system, we have something we call vayus, a Sanskrit term. What does it mean in English? Winds. So this is interesting. So I want you to think of it as a wind or a current. So in this practice, I use breath. And I'm using breath, right? It's a breath-based practice. But on that breath rides something we call prana, Japanese call ki, Chinese call chi. This is an old system of understanding that in order for me to be healthy, I need to move through my prana through my body in order to be healthy. And the Ashtangis know there's 72,000 nadis that these winds are going to carry through. But the vayus in particular relate to specific areas we create a current that creates physical health for us. So I'm just going to name a couple because I don't have a lot of time. So what's the vayu called here in my heart region? Prana vayu. And in this region, Lino Miele in his book does a great job at kind of identifying all the different vayu regions and how the winds or currents move through that area. So we want to, in our yoga practice, move a current through the chest. So if I'm collapsed in a forward bend, I don't have the ability as much to get that prana, the breath and the prana, to move through that region. And then what's this region called? Udana Vayu. This one is super important because, again, I feel like through the day, we're just collapsing this throat region, which is really important for us to get that full breath into there. So that current is moving up. Samana Vayu has to do with our digestion. That runs through the spine. Udana Vayu has to do with getting rid of waste in our body. So all of that ties to something physically that helps us with our health. So my drishti, again, is going to help me with my form, but it's also going to help me get more prana into these areas that I need to move the winds through. Think of it like a house that has like an attic or a room that gets ignored, and there's no movement of air through it, so we get spiders and spider webs and clutter, and you open it and it kind of stinks, it smells a little moldy or whatever, right? What do? You open the windows, you open the door, and you let a breeze flow through. And so this is a really powerful thing to think about in our own bodies, how we need to get the lymphatic system, right? We need to move that sewage system in order for us to stay healthy. It has to constantly have that movement that can ride on the breath. And thirdly, of course, is understanding really the chakras, the energy centers, so that all of that also relates to my emotional well-being and how I show up for life. So if I look at it again as a drishti, this is going to help me to focus my physical body where I want it to go. It's going to get my energy flowing where I need to go, and it's going to raise my consciousness, my mind center, to be fully present here and now. And this is a training. We're going to do this, all of us together, for an hour and 20 minutes today or so, and we're going to train ourselves to focus and to be present, to move that prana. So when we leave here today, and this is my bigger message for all of you today, and I do need someone to maybe get me the quote. No, I have it right here. Is that I was thinking about this when I got back from Spain and I came to the Shala, looked at the ocean, and it just happens to be our 2-year anniversary to be here in this space and to call this the Ocean Shala. And I was just like, dang, you can go all over the world and this is our home. We're so lucky. And I think sometimes you have to like not see something to really see something. Even though, you guys know me, I appreciate it all the time. But still, to just have a few weeks where I didn't get to see it, I didn't get to see all of you breathing in front of the ocean and stuff, I was like, I see this ocean, I see you, I'm so grateful. And I think we train for that, because I think we go through life looking but not really seeing. And sometimes it's the things that we see every day that we don't really see, like the person you're sleeping next to, right? Or the people that we work with, or even seeing your job, like we see our jobs in a certain way. Maybe we're stressed, or maybe we know we work too long, and it's like to get away, go on vacation for maybe a couple of weeks, and you come back to your job, and all of a sudden you see it different. It's a perspective change that I feel like is one of the lessons for us through Drishti about how we show up and how we can be fully present and really see things. Like, did you ever drive somewhere, like I have a 10-minute drive to get here, and do you ever like get there sometime, you didn't see anything? Have you ever like shocked you, like, oh my gosh, you know, someone said, well, there was this thing on the road, and like, really, I didn't see it. But it's sort of a metaphor for life, you know? It's like, how present can I be that I'm really seeing what I'm driving through, and what I'm really like being more and more present to look with different eyes. That is one of the gifts of this training, is one of the gifts of this practice. So we just finished really with a beautiful quote by Henry David Thoreau. He said, the question is not what you look at, but what you see. So there are 9 drishtis. I didn't go over them today. In Ashtanga and yoga, there's 9 drishtis, right? One up here, hands, nose, third eye, navel, thumbs, right, left, feet. And I said at Pacific Ashtanga, there's a 10th Drishti. What's our Drishti? Our 10th Drishti, only at Pacific Ashtanga Yoga, is? The ocean. And I said, so last week we celebrated our 2nd year at the Ocean Shala. I never get tired of looking across the way at the blue ocean we're so blessed to call home. Using our gazing point in yoga as a reminder in life, what or who do we look at often and forget to really see? So that's your homework this week. Just kind of like put new little lenses, drishtis on this week, and see what you can see differently this week.